Forget sensors, touchscreens, and riding modes. There was a decade when the soul of a motorcycle was not measured in megapixels but in mechanical pulse and unapologetic steel. The 70s, an era of naked engineering, of glorious risks, and of machines that didn't talk to you, they screamed at you. Japan unleashed its fury, Italy perfected its art, Great Britain fought with elegance, and here we have 19 of those titans. Motorcycles whose pure essence and indomitable character make the modern feel at times desperately sterile. Let's light the fuse. We begin with number 18. Position 18, Yamaha XT500. Before the word adventure existed, there was the thump, a sound, a unique deep heartbeat that came from an engine as simple as a stone and as tough as a mountain. The Yamaha XT500 was not a bike, it was a geological phenomenon. Its 500 cubic centimeter 4-stroke single cylinder was primitive, 2 valves, air-cooled, kickstart. And in that simplicity lay its genius. 32 horses that felt like a mule's kick, torque that found traction in the mud, in the gravel, on the side of a cliff. This bike won the first edition of the Paris-Dakar, not because it was the fastest, but because it was the one that refused to die. You could drown it in a river, dry the spark plug with your shirt, give it a kick, and it would roar back to life, asking for more punishment. It destroys modern dual sports because those are tall, plagued with plastic, and sound like sewing machines. The XT500 sounds like a single-rotor helicopter. It vibrates with an honest pulse that connects you directly to the explosion happening inside. With its polished aluminum tank and utilitarian aesthetic, it is not a bike you buy. It is a tool with which you earn the respect of the earth. The grandfather of all adventure bikes, and still the roughest in the family. Position 17, Suzuki GT 750 Water Buffalo. In the 70s, Suzuki was the king of the two-stroke, but they knew the days of blue smoke and the ring-ding-ding were numbered. Instead of giving up, they did the craziest thing possible. They built a luxury two-stroke, a tourer. The GT 750, nicknamed Water Buffalo in America and Kettle in England, was a contradiction on wheels, and it was magnificent. Its 738 cubic centimeter two-stroke triple-cylinder engine was a beast, but a beast tamed by something revolutionary: liquid cooling. It was the first mass-produced Japanese motorcycle to feature it, with a front radiator that looked like the bow of a ship. This allowed for tighter tolerances, prevented seizures, and gave it a surprisingly smooth and quiet character for a two-stroke. It did not scream. It hummed with a low, powerful drone. It had torque that pulled like a locomotive from low revs. It was heavy, stable as a battleship on the road, and smelled slightly of burnt oil and nostalgia. It destroys modern bikes because it is a mechanical rarity we will never see again. A liquid-cooled two-stroke triple. It is a conversation piece on wheels. A Cadillac wrapped in a cloud of blue smoke that could cross continents. It was extravagance made of metal. Position 16, Moto Guzzi 850 Le Mans. The Italians and reliability used to be opposite concepts, but the Moto Guzzi 850 Le Mans was the exception that proved the rule because its rule was that of a tractor. This was not a delicate bike, it was an agricultural tool with racing pretensions. Its heart was the legendary transverse V-twin of 844 cubic centimeters with the cylinders sticking out like a fighter's elbows, cooling themselves with the wind. 71 horses in the 70s was a serious punch, but what defines it is the visceral sensation. When blipping the throttle at a standstill, the engine's reaction torque makes the whole bike twist to the right. It is alive. It rocks under you. It had a maintenance-free shaft drive and an integrated braking system that linked the front and rear discs brilliantly decades before Honda. The sound of its massive Del Orto carburetors sucking air right under your knees is intoxicating. It is stable, long, and loves fast curves. You don't just handle it, you pilot it with intention. It destroys modern bikes because it is pure mechanics without electronic intermediaries. You find these engines with 160,000 kilometers, having survived on nothing but oil changes. It is art you can use daily. Position 15, BMW R75/5 Toaster Tank. There was a time when BMWs were for serious men with pipes and tweed jackets. Black, utilitarian, boringly good. Then the /5 series arrived in 1970 and everything changed. The R75/5 with its chrome side tanks that looked like toasters, hence the nickname, was a revolution of color and lightness. Its 745 cubic centimeter boxer engine was the famous Airhead, a masterpiece of simplicity. The cylinders stuck out to cool themselves, the valves were adjusted in 20 minutes with a screwdriver, and the transmission was by shaft drive. There were no chains to grease, just pure and reliable German engineering. It destroys modern retros because she is the original. A modern BMW R9T tries desperately to look like this. The R75 Stroke 5 is this. Its suspension is so soft it floats over potholes that would shatter the spine on a modern sport bike. It is a gentleman's express. It holds its value better than gold. It is the definition of engineering before computers complicated it. Position 14, Kawasaki KZ650. When Kawasaki launched the Z1, it was a monster. Not everyone could tame it. So in 1977, they launched the KZ650, and many purists maintain that it is, in fact, the better balanced bike. Its 652 cubic centimeter inline 4 was an evolution. It used a crankshaft with plain bearings, more modern, smooth, and fast revving than that of the Z1. 64 horses in a stiffer and lighter chassis. This bike earned a reputation for being indestructible. You could take it to the limit, go touring, drag race it. She didn't care. It destroys modern middleweights because it feels substantial. A modern Z650 is a plastic twin-cylinder that feels disposable. The KZ650 is a 4-cylinder with 4 shimmering chrome exhaust pipes. It sounds like a 70s F1 car when you rev it up. It has that UJM Universal Japanese Motorcycle look that never goes out of style. It was the workhorse with a racer's soul. Position 13, Yamaha XS 650. Here is an open secret. The Yamaha XS 650 is the best British twin ever built. Simply put, they made it in Japan. Yamaha looked at the Triumph Bonneville and said, "We can do that, but without the oil puddles and the electrical darkness." The result was a 653 cubic centimeter parallel twin engine that vibrated, pulsed, and sounded like a true Brit with that syncopated firing order you feel in your chest. But unlike a Triumph of the era, the electricity worked. The metal didn't rust instantly. It produced about 50 horses and was famous for its participation in flat-track racing. The engine was over-engineered. Chopper builders love it for its aesthetics and restorers for the abundance of spare parts. It destroys modern retros because it is authentically vintage but truly reliable. You have the kickstart, the classic lines, the sound, but you also reach your destination. It is the British spirit with Japanese punctuality. Position 12, Honda CB 400F Supersport. This is not a motorcycle, it is a cult object. In 1975, Honda took its civilized CB 350F, sent it to the gym, and gave it a factory cafe racer makeover. The result was the CB 400F, a bike that prioritized handling over raw speed. But its masterpiece, its work of art, is the exhaust. 4 primary pipes snake intricately to join into a single chrome muffler. They are called the waterfall headers, and they are considered the most beautiful production exhaust system in history. It looks like a musical instrument. Its 408 cubic centimeter engine revved up to 10,000 revolutions, offering 37 horsepower and a 6-speed gearbox. It was a scalpel. It wasn't about top speed, but cornering speed. It destroys modern small bikes because of its refinement. The engine is smooth as a turbine, and the finish is like jewelry. It is for the rider who appreciates feel, finesse, and mechanical beauty. It is the essence of less is more made into a motorcycle. Position 11, Suzuki GS 1000. In 1978, the reign of the Kawasaki Z1 had a weak point. Its high-speed handling could be interesting. Suzuki watched, waited, and struck with precision. First with the GS 750 and then with the big father, the GS 1000. This was the first Japanese leader bike that actually handled well. Suzuki focused on the rigidity of the frame and the swing arm, giving it air-assisted suspension. Its 997 cubic centimeter engine produced 90 horsepower with a virtually indestructible roller-bearing crankshaft. It represents the peak of the era of air-cooled 2-valve 4-cylinders. It was lighter than the Kawasaki, faster than the Honda, the complete package. It destroys modern muscle bikes because it balances power and grace. It has the power to scare you, but the manners to save you. It was the weapon of choice in AMA racing. It is a big, comfortable, and fast machine that demands respect. The best-kept secret in the world of the classic leader bike. Position 10, Norton Commando 850 Mk3. Yes, I know. British reliability is usually a joke. But the Commando 850 Mark III, launched in 1975, was different. It was the final, glorious, and refined effort of the British Empire. The Commando is famous for its ice-elastic vibration reduction frame. The engine is mounted on rubber silent blocks. At idle, the bike shakes like a wet dog, but as soon as you pass 2,000 revolutions, magic happens. It completely smooths out and floats. It is hypnotic. The Mark III fixed the chronic problems. It had an electric starter, which usually worked, a left side gear shift, and a rear disc brake. Its 828 cubic centimeter twin produced 60 horsepower. It destroys modern retros through pure style. The Norton logo on the tank, the forward-leaning engine, the sound of the pea shooter exhaust. It was voted Machine of the Year for 5 consecutive years for a reason. If you maintain it, and yes, you must maintain it, it is a glorious and reliable machine. It is the ultimate time machine, the last gasp of an era that faded with a roar, not a whimper. This has only been the prelude, the demonstration that the 70s built the pillars upon which we still ride. We have seen elegance, roughness, oddities, and the last British dance. But now, friends, tighten your fists. We enter the inner sanctum. What follows are not just classic bikes, they are deities of the asphalt, mechanical rarities that redefine the possible, and legends whose roar, even today, makes the foundations of modern showrooms tremble. We are about to mount myths, to meet six-cylinder extravagance, the supercharged demon, and Genesis itself. Position 9. La Verda 1000 Jota. Forget about delicate Italians. The La Verda Jota was a tractor painted in bright orange that in 1976 became the fastest production motorcycle in the world. It wasn't refined, it was a beast made of oversized components and pure mechanical testosterone. Its heart was a 981 cubic centimeter inline triple, but with a brilliant plot twist, a 180-degree crankshaft. This means the outer pistons went up and down in unison while the center one did the opposite, creating a rhythmic, syncopated, and furious roar that sounded like a caged animal trying to escape. 90 horses were transmitted through a clutch that required the grip strength of a blacksmith. It was tall, heavy, and intimidating. It did not forgive mistakes, but it was reliable precisely because it was built like a tank. Every part was massive, over-engineered. It destroys modern bikes through its absolute presence. It did not go unnoticed. It declared war on the asphalt. It demanded you be a better rider, rewarding you with a sense of brutal mastery and a sound that chilled the blood. It was mechanical masculinity in its purest state, an orange unicorn that will never ever lose its legendary aura. Position 8. BMW R90S. In 1973, BMW did the unthinkable. They hired designer Hans Muth and told him to make a boxer sexy. The result was the R90S, and the motorcycling world stood still. This was not an evolution, it was the creation of a new genre, the sport touring. It took the reliable 898 cubic centimeter boxer engine, pushed it to 67 horsepower, and dressed it in deadly elegance. A bikini fairing attached to the handlebars, and paint in Daytona orange or silver smoke that was applied by hand, making each unit unique. It won the first ever AMA Superbike race at Daytona, humbling the powerful Japanese 4-cylinders. It destroys modern bikes because it does everything. It is comfortable enough to cross a continent, but with an agility and responsiveness that invite you to drag a knee. Its Del Orto pumper carburetors offer instantaneous throttle response. It is the sophisticated choice, the weapon of the gentleman racer. It does not scream, it whispers with authority. It is proof that luxury and performance can be born from simplicity, and its value does nothing but appreciate like a fine wine or a work of art that you can also rip through a mountain road. Position 7. Yamaha RD 400. The giant killer, the troublemaker, the bike that smells like trouble. In 1976, Yamaha refined its two-stroke formula to evil perfection with the RD 400. A 398 cubic centimeter two-stroke twin that, with 44 horses and a ridiculously low weight, was a missile. It featured alloy wheels, front and rear disc brakes, and the auto lube system that freed you from mixing gas and oil at the gas station. It destroys modern bikes because it is pure adrenaline without filters. It does power wheelies in first and second gear without you even trying. It leaves a trail of blue smoke that smells like victory and reckless youth. It is agile, aggressive, and strident. It taught an entire generation to ride fast. and to fall. Its reliability lies in its radical simplicity. No valves, cams, or timing chains. Just ports, pistons, and the glorious ring-ding-ding of a two-stroke at its peak. It is the essence of the hooligan, a reminder of when fun was illegal, cheap, and smelled like castor oil. Position 6. Honda GL 1000 Goldwing. In 1975, Honda didn't just invent a motorcycle, they invented the very concept of modern motorcycle touring. But the original Goldwing was not the ocean liner with a stereo and airbag that it is today. It was a naked muscle bike, a display of silent and sublime engineering. Its engine was a work of art, a liquid-cooled 999 cubic centimeter flat 4 with shaft drive. The fuel tank was under the seat to lower the center of gravity. What looked like the tank was actually a housing for the electronics and a glove box. 80 horses delivered with such smoothness that you could balance a coin on the cylinder head with the engine at idle. It destroys modern tourers because it is stripped of distractions. It has no screens, heated seats, or speakers. It is pure essence, a magnificent engine, absurdly reliable, and 2 wheels. It is surprisingly fast and agile to the point that people converted them into cafe racers. It is quite possibly the most reliable motorcycle engine ever built. There are Goldwings with 500,000 kilometers that have never had the engine opened. It is the luxury of silence, the elegance of contained power. Position 5. Ducati 900 Supersport. The most beautiful motorcycle of the 70s, period. The Ducati 900 Supersport is the sculpture that lives in the gallery of your mind. An evolution of the mythical 750 SS with its 864 cubic centimeter desmodromic L-twin engine. The desmodromic valves mechanically actuated to open and close, not just to open, were pure racing technology. 72 horses don't tell the whole story. The story is the handling. Stable, long, precise. A racing bike with lights. Its hemisphere tank with the transparent strip to see the fuel level is a nod to pure competition. It destroys modern bikes because it is a mechanical sculpture. The sound of its Conti exhaust is a deep, raspy thunder. It requires a ritual to start. Prime the carburetors, find top dead center, pray to the Italian gods, and kick. It is uncomfortable, it burns calories, but it is glorious. It is pure Italian passion solidified in metal. It is not a bike you buy, it is a relic you adopt, and its value only knows how to climb toward the Olympus of collectibles. A position 4, Honda CBX 1000. In 1978, Honda didn't want to win. They wanted to brag. They wanted to flex their engineering muscles so hard that the competition would simply give up. Thus, the CBX 1000 was born. A 1,047 cubic centimeter inline 6. 6 cylinders, hanging in the air, wider than the rider himself. It looked like the engine of a light aircraft, with 6 carburetors and 24 valves. A masterpiece of complexity. 105 horsepower and a top speed of 225 kilometers per hour. It destroys modern bikes because of the sound. At high revs, its scream is that of a V10-era F1 car, a high-pitched mechanical symphony that makes your skin crawl. It is wide, heavy, and magnificently excessive. Riding it is like piloting a mechanical spaceship. It proved that Honda could build anything they set their mind to, no matter how absurd it seemed. It wasn't the most practical or the best handling bike, but it was the ultimate statement, a monument to excess and limitless engineering. Position 3, Honda CB 750. The most important motorcycle in history, Genesis, the original superbike. Although it was born in 1969, it was in the 70s where it reigned. Before it, you chose fast and unreliable, British, or slow and reliable, Japanese. The CB 750 offered both. An inline 4 of 736 cubic centimeters, overhead camshaft, 4 exhaust pipes, a front disc brake, a world first in mass production, and an electric starter. 67 horses that changed the course of history. It destroyed the British industry overnight. It destroys modern bikes because it is the original blueprint. Every modern sport bike traces its DNA back to this machine. It is smooth, comfortable, manageable, and reliable to the point that you could cross a country on one today, 50 years later. It is not the most extreme on this list, but it is the cornerstone upon which everything else was built. It is the king by birthright. Position 2, Kawasaki Z1900. The king, the New York steak. If the CB750 was the punch, the Z1 was the knockout. When Honda got ahead, Kawasaki went back to the drawing board and said, hold the sake. They wouldn't build something equal. They would build something bigger, faster, and meaner. Codenamed New York Steak because they wanted to serve the best cut to America, the Z1 dropped in 1973, a 903 cubic centimeter four-cylinder with double overhead camshafts. 82 horses that made it the fastest production bike in the world, capable of 210 kilometers per hour. It had the iconic ducktail and 4 resonant exhausts. It destroys modern bikes because of its attitude. It is the grandfather of the modern superbike. It is over-engineered. Its bottom end is so strong it supports dragster modifications without flinching. It is violent, fast, and undeniably cool. It is the bike that cemented Japanese dominance for the rest of the century. Owning a Z1 is owning the ultimate icon of an era of pure audacity. Position 1, the eternal choice. Kawasaki H2750 versus Benelli 750 SE. We reach the summit, and here at the pinnacle there is no single answer. There is a dilemma, a philosophical confrontation between two extremes of 70s genius. You choose the true champion. Option A, the demon, Kawasaki H2750. The Kawasaki H2750 was not a motorcycle. It was a declaration of war against physics and sanity. While the world leaned toward 4 strokes, Kawasaki took its 750 cubic centimeter 2-stroke triple and added a centrifugal supercharger. The result was the most terrifying and advanced monster of the decade. 72 horses in a lightweight bike with power delivery like a light switch. Nothing, 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 everything. The acceleration was violent, almost supernatural. It was the fastest production bike of its time, but its fame was of pure savagery. Difficult to tame with nervous handling and brakes that were more of a suggestion. The H2 was the supercharged 2-stroke demon, an experiment at the limit that showed how far one could go before electronics had to come and save us from ourselves. It is technological brutality pushed to its most glorious and dangerous extreme. Option B, the Opera, Benelli 750 SE. On the other end of the spectrum was the Benelli 750 SE. It did not scream, it sang. While Honda bragged with its 6 cylinders, the small Italian manufacturer Benelli did something even more exclusive. They built the world's first production 6-cylinder in 1972, and they did it in a bike of serene and classic beauty. Its 751 cubic centimeter engine was a gem of smoothness, a silky hum of exquisite complexity. It wasn't about raw power, barely 70 horses, but about absolute refinement, a mechanical elegance that rivaled a string instrument. It was rare, exclusive, and incredibly well finished. It did not terrify the straights, it embellished them with its presence and its unique symphony. The SE was the Italian opera against Japanese heavy metal. An object of desire not for what it did, but for what it was, a work of art on wheels. It depends on what you believe destroys the modern in the deepest way. Is it the supernatural force and reckless engineering of the Kawasaki H2750 Demon, or the serene beauty and sublime mechanical exclusivity of the Benelli 750 SE Opera? Both are perfect answers. Both are peaks of 70s ambition. One shows you the boldest and most terrifying future, the other the most perfect and desirable past. The final victory belongs not to one motorcycle, but to the decade that was brave enough to create them both.